One of the things that I often hear from women when I talk about the non-existence of support services or domestic violence shelters for men is that, well, if men wanted to fix the problem, then they should just fix it. Usually, it goes something like this.
It's the patriarchy, which brings me back to men need to create safe spaces for men.
Now, what this woman is saying is nothing I haven't heard hundreds of times before. It's a false feminist narrative. No, let's make that a complete and utter lie created and spread by feminists in order to discredit anyone who is advocating for or trying to create support systems for men. Why? Because in their mind, it's a zero-sum game. Any service, any penny, any discussion that goes towards helping men or male victims with their issues, in their mind, is taking away from helping women. They, like most modern women, don't care in the least about men or their suffering. In fact, their goal is not just to continue it, but expand it. Often, the women saying these things are, in fact, abusers themselves, looking to cover their tracks lest the abuse they've heaped on men be discovered. And it goes further than that. It's not that they just want to continue to get the $1 billion a year in funding for domestic violence shelters that are provided under the Violence Against Women Act. Note the sexist narrative built into the name, by the way. Oh no, my friends, it goes much further than that. Because they know, they've told that lie for decades, that only women can be victims and only men perpetrators. And they need to ensure that there is no way for male victims to speak out about the trauma and abuse they've suffered, lest that lie be discovered. It's why they go to great lengths to ensure that there are no male safe spaces anywhere. No male shelters, no male support groups, no places for men to go and be with other men where they can feel safe and supported. No place where they can bond with other men and share their stories. None whatsoever. It's also why they demand access to things like male-only clubs, claiming it's sexist to exclude women. It's why they're working to drive men out of places like the gyms. Hell, they're even demanding to be able to join the Boy Scouts so they can silence even young boys from speaking out and sharing their trauma. They are deliberately and methodically working to isolate men and boys, especially those who are victims at the hands of women, all while at the same time saying there needs to be female-only spaces because, women need to feel safe. Who's the ones actively promoting sexism? They literally argue that men have no right to safety or privacy or safe spaces, while at the same time demanding that women do. Disingenuous doesn't even begin to cover it. It's also why they work to shut down male advocates such as myself, lest we dare to expose their complete and utter hypocrisy. It's why there isn't a week that goes by that MySpace and others like MySpace, in other words, male safe spaces, aren't attacked and mass reported, usually in the middle of the night by groups of women who operate Discord servers and Facebook groups to arrange and coordinate these planned attacks. Oh, what? You thought those things didn't exist? That doesn't happen, or that they would get shut down? Child, please. It's why they claim that MRAs and the so-called red pillars are just men and women raging with hate, while at the same time claiming that the women's groups aren't. It's why they'll find one video made by a man who is spreading hate and use it as an example to prove their point, claiming, of course, it's all men till it's no men, while at the very same time denying the literally thousands of videos posted each and every day by women demeaning, disparaging, and dehumanizing men even exist. Or if they do acknowledge their existence, they scream, "It's not fair," to judge all women by the actions of a few. These women that seek to blame men for not creating safe spaces or shelters are really just showing that the toxic war on masculinity and men in general is very real, that it's alive and well. It's a war that has existed for decades and isn't going away anytime soon. It also shows that their so-called patriarchy does not exist and never has. For if it did, if it truly was about men protecting other men and hurting women in the process, then there'd be shelters and support for men in every city and none for women. Instead of the reality that, in fact, it's the exact opposite. So the next time you hear a woman saying it's up to men to do something to help other men, ask them why. Ask them, why do they hate men so much that they seek to deny men access to the very same support, kindness, caring, and consideration that women get? Because it's all about equality, right?